Okay, so here's the new material. And by the way, you don't need to print this out. You can just look at these problems and write down the answers on paper. So with numbers 1 through 4, maybe I'll start there and then I'll talk you through 5 and 6. So you are using a calculator to solve for variable x. Make sure you have a calculator ready tomorrow for the quiz. And you are going to first write a trig equation and then solve that trig equation. So what you are going to do is, I'm getting comfy. My poor dog is sad and lonely today. You need to find this side. Look at the angle you're given and realize that this is one of the two legs and it helps to make the angle. It is the adjacent side. Then this side over here is opposite the right angle. It is the hypotenuse. So you want to think of trig functions that use adjacent and hypotenuse. What comes to mind? And I'm looking at chat. So what I expect you to do is write the cosine of 36 degrees is equal to x over 28. Then you're going to use your calculator and solve for x. You don't have to show an in-between step. The in-between step would be multiplying both sides by 28 to write that x is equal to 28 times the cosine of 36 degrees. So everyone, grab a calculator. Make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. And you'll know very quickly if you're not in degree mode. You'll get an incorrect answer, and it'll be obvious. So 28 times cosine 36. Put in chat what you get. You got it, 22.65. And you can also logically think, and I said 3 digits, so I'll put a 2 right there. If the hypotenuse is 28, you should expect the adjacent to be smaller than 28. So things to kind of be aware of and keep an eye out for. So, oh yeah, so Katoa. Ha. Do we remember? So Katoa. Does everyone remember SOHCAHTOA? Okay. Make sure that you study that for tomorrow. Then, who is sine's reciprocal? Which function is sine's reciprocal? Cosecant. Which function is cosine's reciprocal? Good, secant. And then lastly, tangent's reciprocal is cotangent. Very good. So know that these are the things you need to be ready for tomorrow. These are the main concept overall. All right, now continuing to use a calculator, let's take a look at number 2. You have that x is this side, which is one of the legs, and it helps make the angle 40 degrees. So that is an adjacent side. Then the other leg is opposite the 40-degree angle, and that makes it the opposite side. So What trig function comes to mind when it comes to opposite and adjacent? Correct. That is like full-blown correct. Tangent, cotangent is easier to use though, because if you use tangent, you have to do opposite, which is the known number, over adjacent, which is the variable. People sometimes get confused when the variable's in the denominator and make mistakes. But if you use cotangent instead, oh, sorry, I just realized that we have the theta. I need to put that down, 40 degrees. So if I do the cotangent of 40 degrees, then I can do adjacent over opposite, and then I can more easily just do 32 times cotangent of 40 degrees. But it doesn't matter how you do it as long as you are correct. If you go with tangent, you can multiply the x over to the side with tangent, and then divide. But sometimes we mess up our order of division, so go wisely and carefully. All right, what number do you get? Ah, you're faster than me in typing. Yep, you got it. Then 3 and 4 are very similar to 1 and 2, and I want you to try to do those on your own. And if you want to, if you're working on a separate sheet of paper, leave a space, the same amount of room you used for problems 1 and 2, and let's move over to 5 and 6, because I have not, this is one thing I've not talked to you specifically about how to use yet. So you have, I keep saying so, I am so frustrated with not being able to stop using that word. Anyway, that'll then change to another word. You have this side right here. Here's angle theta. This is one of the legs. Do you see which side it is? The side that is length 15, thank you, yes, adjacent. The side that is length 19, which side is that? Hypotenuse. It's directly across that right angle. So who is adjacent over hypotenuse? Cosine. So the cosine of theta is equal to 15 over 19. Now, listen carefully. This right here that I just wrote does not mean reciprocal. It's very frustrating that somebody decided to use a -1 to mean inverse. But understand this means that it's reversing the direction. You'll go from the answer to cosine to the angle that goes into cosine to create that answer. So using the inverse cosine button, make sure that you have the entire 15 over 9 in a parentheses, and let's see what you get. What, shouldn't it be 45 degrees? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, it's not a special right triangle. Also, I should probably emphasize triangles are not drawn to scale. It may look a bit like a 45-45, but So did everyone use their calculator? Yep, that is correct. 37.86 4 degrees. So understand that what I expect out of you, if this shows up on a quiz, is I need to see the equation and then the answer. Those two things.
Can you explain how we did that?
Yes. So with your calculator, you should, it depends on what kind of calculator you have. I've got a graphing calculator on me right now. Is that what you're familiar with, or is it something else?
I have like the TI 30X.
Okay, let me see what that looks like. Give me a second. It's a TI, what number? Was it 36S X?
It's a TI 30X.
Okay. Let me, give me just a second. What am I needing to do? I'm going to stop presenting temporarily because I just, TI 36X. Okay, I'm going to go back to presenting. And is this the calculator right here? Actually, I can't see.
No, it's not that one.
It's not that one? Well, wait, is it this one?
No, I'll just send it. Yes. But it's TI 30X.
X2S? What happened?
The name of it in the chat.
Okay. Oh, Roman numerals too. Mm.
If you send a normal to it'll come up. It's a 30, not a
30. Type right now. 32S, I see it. Okay, this one. All right. Let me see how big I can make this picture. I probably don't want it to load some random page, so is it a, no. No, come on, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to highlight it. Right here. There we go. Right there, I highlighted it. So what you're going to do is you're going to push second and then this cosine button and then parentheses and then type in the division. I forget the numbers off the top of my head. End the parentheses and push enter. But you have to make sure you're in degree mode. If you look at this calculator, because it says RAD at the bottom, it's radian mode, so make sure it says degree down there instead of radian.
Okay, thank you.
And the Unit 5 test scores, I'm in the middle of grading them. I stopped grading them to make sure that I got these packets done, so because I know that it was a bit too much to have to copy when it comes to trig. Okay, does anyone else have a specific calculator that you're completely confused on how to use? iPhone? Okay, let's see, what is an iPhone calculator? If I can, okay, put that down and then, can I not type? No, I can't. Okay, so I'm assuming it looks like this right here when you turn it on its side. And I'm going to take a snapshot of that so that I can zoom in on it. I hate it when it does that. I wonder if it will be kind enough to just show it. Oh, there we go. That's what I wanted. Okay. So you've got a cosine button on here so you can go forward easily. To get to the, and also this says it's radian, so you need to push the DEG for degrees. Now, I'm assuming you're going to push the second button and the keys are going to change. So my question to you is, did that happen? You pushed the second button and the keys changed? Okay. Is that little cosine with a -1 one of the keys? That's the one you want to click onto. And also do make sure you click degrees so that you are in degree mode. And does that work? Let me see if they've got what happens when you push second. Did that help you guys a bit? It just says error. Okay, then if it says error, it might be a matter of did you type it in correctly? Do you see the parentheses? You have to make sure you do parentheses. You got inverse cosine of stuff. Trying to, there we go. You have to make sure 15 divided by 19 is in parentheses. And you're still getting an error. I'm trying to see. I'm trying to see if I can find what it does when after you push second. Okay, so when you push the second button, make sure you're pushing, do you see where the hand is on inverse cosine? Don't do the one with the H. Use this button. Okay. And was 37.86 the answer? Yes. Okay. Anyone else need to know how to use their calculator? Because you need to know how to use your calculator for tomorrow's quiz. Okay. Let me know if you don't and if you need help. So did a lot of you get number 6 done? For number 6, you should notice that you have the 2 legs. So you can use tangent. And always opposite over adjacent. So let's see if you guys can use your calculator. I am recording. This little thing tells me I'm recording. Yes. You can do cotangent if that's what you're meaning. It's how things got defined. There's no reason for one being a particular ratio over another. It's just they decided this was the name of when it's the opposite over the adjacent side.
So both tangent and cotangent work?
Yes, you can use either one. Typically, it's hard to find all 6 inverse functions on calculators, but if you have availability to all 6, either one, you're going to get the same answer with either one. So you'll either do this or cotangent equaling 23 over 34. And then what did you get for theta? Yep. 55.9228. You can round up to 3 if you like. Degrees. I'm not going to be a huge stickler on rounding, but it needs to be reasonable. If I say round 3 digits after the decimal point and you round it to the nearest whole number, that's just way too, you didn't even follow the directions. Okay. So, does everyone feel like they understand how to use their inverse button? Good. And hopefully you feel comfortable using your forward trig function and you can get 3 and 4 done. In fact, if you were working on that while I was fumbling through calculators, you might be done. Now, continuing to review, these problems are definitely good quiz problems. So you have 2 sides on a right triangle. How do you find your third side? And everyone says, if you're, if you're just trying to find a third side, go back to Pythagorean theorem. As far as still a bit confused, is it with using a calculator or writing the equations? Using the calculator? Okay. Were you one of the iPhones? Or, okay. So I've still got that up. I'll just mention real quick. If you push the second button, it takes you to these, and you only want to use either the inverse sine, the inverse cosine, or the inverse tangent. So you're going to stick to those 3. If you are on the regular before you push the second button, then you have sine, cosine, and tangent, and you want to stick to using just those three. And make sure that you're using parentheses as well. So I'll leave it at that, and you can stay after a little bit if you still need some more guidance. So Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to just kind of put down that this is side length A. Leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. You can use your calculator. And so A is the square root of 161. And if it's not a perfect square number, leave it in square root form. Here's the thing. I want to see with problems like this that you can get through them without using a calculator. So I'm going to ask for exact form. When I ask for exact form, if you round your digits of your decimal point, that won't be exact form. So by asking that, I'm trying to keep you from just using your calculator and show that you know the trig. Now, angle A right here, now you're going to write down what all 6 of these trig ratios are, understanding what side is what. So what I would suggest is start with which side is opposite, or not opposite, which side is hypotenuse is where I would start. So opposite that 90-degree angle is hypotenuse. Of the 2 legs left, the leg that helps to make angle A is its adjacent side, and the other leg is opposite that angle, the opposite side. So opposite over hypotenuse means the sine is the square root of 161 divided by 15. For cosine, what do you get for cosine? You can type that into chat. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, 8 over 15. Okay, tangent. Tangent is the opposite side over the adjacent side. Very good. Now, here's the beautiful thing. The other 3 are reciprocals of what you just found. If you know who cosecant's reciprocal is, who is cosecant's reciprocal? Yep. So if you know that cosecant's reciprocal is sine, take sine's fraction and flip it over, and you're done. Who is the reciprocal of secant? Cosine. So all you have to do is look at cosine, flip it around, boom. And then cotangent, do you guys have that one? Tangent's reciprocal. So you are going to do exactly the same thing on number 8. I'm going to leave that for you to do on your own. And now let's take a look at the next batch. This is similar to the previous problem, but this time you're given one of those 6 trig functions, and you're dealing with a right triangle. Cosine is what side over what side? Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Good. Now, angle A is this angle right here. So that means this leg is adjacent, this leg is hypotenuse. Use the 5 and the 14. Then use Pythagorean theorem to find the third side. So I'll put down this is, say, side length B. So leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. And with this, you can go ahead and use your calculator. And you should get that B is equal to the square root of 171. So with that, you're now finding the other 5 trig ratios. So, yes, this is also your homework. Whatever you don't get done during class, you need to finish before midnight tonight and upload that, and then the answers will come up and you'll be able to do corrections if you need to do corrections. So with sine, what is sine going to come out as for number 9? And I'm still waiting for someone to say something in chat, so I'm not just doing this. Using this triangle, we have the 3 sides. Sine is no one wants to say. Are you guys still there? Okay. So type into, okay. So take a look at this triangle and realize what sides are which. The hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. The leg that helps to make angle A is the adjacent. And then the other leg is the opposite. So what does that make sine? I'm still waiting for chat. Thank you. Square root of 171 over 14. And I know that's what you meant. So you got it. Then what is tangent? And the more I wait, the less I get to do with you. For tangent, opposite over adjacent, so you are correct. All right, cosecant. What is cosecant?
It's just the reciprocal sign.
Correct. Also, yes, you can write root 171 as 3 root 19. I'm fine if you have the simplified square root form or just the square root. If that is simplifying that way. Let me check. Yep, you are correct. Okay, and then, forgot my square root. For secant, it's the reciprocal of cosine. Or you can look at the triangle and get that from the triangle. Cotangent is tangent's reciprocal. And that's number 9. And then you guys can do number 10. And let me check. Yep, this is the end. Now, these items are from 6.3. So know that the quiz you're taking tomorrow will be based on these first 2 pages of review homework. These will be Wednesday's quiz. So, coterminal angles. For this problem, you're going to state a negative angle that is coterminal. You're given 30 degrees. What do you need to do to find that angle? What do you need to do to 30 degrees to find a coterminal angle? Do you remember what coterminal means? You got it. Subtract 360 degrees. So you have to remember that, stop. Can't get this to stop. There we go. And now it's all messed up. I know there's an undo button somewhere here, but all right, there we go. And that gives you negative 330 degrees. Now, what I'm asking you to do is sketch the angle of rotation by a solid arc, by the angle that's the given angle. So 30 degrees starts on the positive x-axis, goes 1/3 of the way through quadrant 1, and by solid arc, that's referring to this drawn with a solid angle. Then you're going to sketch the coterminal negative angle with a dotted arc. So what that means is you're going to start on the positive x-axis, but head backward to show that you understand that that's the negative direction, and we'll end in that very same place. Now, as far as where you draw the terminal side of the angle, be in the right quadrant. I don't expect a perfectly drawn angle, but I expect it to be reasonable. So for number 12, 120 degrees, what quadrant is 120 degrees in? So remember that quadrant 1 is where it does 0 to 90 degrees. Quadrant 2 is where it does 90 to 180 degrees. Now, where is 120? 120 is 30 degrees beyond 90. So I'm going to go and cut that quadrant into thirds. And I have my initial side and my terminal side with the angle going in this direction. So I want to emphasize when it says solid arc, it's referring to this. For the coterminal angle that is negative, it's referring to this. Starting again at 0, but moving in the negative direction. You just need to show that you understand what has been deemed the 0 angle and what's been deemed the positive versus the negative direction. And then, just like you did in number 11, subtract 360 to get the negative coterminal angle, and you get what number? And I'm waiting for chat. I'll go on to another problem if you guys answer this one. What is the negative coterminal angle for number 12? Thank you. There we go. Okay. And then you can do 13 on your own. For this last set, you're finding a positive angle that is less than 1 full rotation that is coterminal. And you're going to sketch the angle of rotation for what is given. So if it's greater than 360 degrees, that means that your arc has to go all the way around once and then go further. To find out how much further, subtract 360 degrees. And what number does that give you? Stupid classroom lights.
240.
There we go. 240. Thank you. And so you need to figure out where is 240. So you want to remember that 0 degrees is the positive x-axis, 90 degrees, 180. And then what does that make this negative y-axis? And that makes it 270. 240 is 30 degrees before reaching 270. So that means you are going to continue until you are 2/3 through quadrant 3. And then I'm going to draw the terminal side of the angle. So you've got initial side, terminal side, and then the angle went round and stopped. Do some of you feel like you're remembering all this stuff? You didn't lose all of it over the 2, or I'm already thinking about the next one, 2 weeks. You know, it's funny when it can be easier because your mind like ruminates things when you're not thinking about them directly. So, 510 degrees, coterminal angle. What do you get for its coterminal angle? All right, thank you. 150. So now you've got to think about how far does it go around to get to 150. You've got 0 degrees, 90, 180. So 150 is 30 degrees shy of 180, about there. But you are graphing the angle 510 degrees. You're showing that rotation, and that rotation starts at 0, goes all the way around, and then on its second round stops. And then I'm going to leave 16 for you guys to work on. And then what I'll do is I'll come back over here. And I can do another problem. Would you rather I do 3, 4, 8, or 10? Whoever puts it in first gets what they want.
You go for 3
Yep.
or 4. You can do 4.
Okay. So you want to look at the sides that you're working with. The side X is opposite the 90-degree angle. So that's the hypotenuse. The other side that you're given is the leg that helps to make 43 degrees. So that's the adjacent side to 43 degrees. So which trig function will allow you to work with adjacent and hypotenuse?
Cosine.
Woo, you got it. So cosine of 43 degrees is equal to 12 divided by x. Now, if you have all 6 trig buttons on your calculator, you may want to, instead of using cosine, use its reciprocal secant, because then all you have to do is multiply the 12 to the other side and find that with your calculator. But maybe it's not a big deal for you in this way. Multiply both sides by x, and then divide both sides by the cosine of 43. And let's check. And I'm going to wait for you to tell me what you got.
Is it 16.407?
Yes, you got it.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. We've got time to do a little bit more. If someone names a problem they would like. Oh, wait, is that 4 saying number 4? Oh, I did. Okay, 3. On number 3, I can see opposite the 90-degree angle. This is the hypotenuse, and that's labeled the variable x. This side over here, is not the leg helping to make angle 68 degrees. So it is the opposite side. And what trig equation would you use for that? You got it. Sine of 68 degrees is equal to the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. Or if you have all 6 trig buttons on your calculator, you can use cosecant instead. So use either one of those two. And what do you end up getting? You got it. So tomorrow, remember, you're going to have a quiz, and it will be similar to review problems on pages 1 and 2. Know that page 3 will be quizzed on Wednesday, these problems. And this homework is due by midnight. It's the only thing due today. Also, please respond to whether you need the packets or not.